Welcome. I'm Jeannie Goodwin with Jeannie Goodwin Success Coaching, and yes, you read the title right. Is it time to have an affair? Okay, so I know if you know me and if you've been a part of the legendary Love Affair series, then you're probably choking on this and going, what is she talking about? That can't be right. But look, if you're thinking about having an affair, estimates say 60% of men and 40% of women, studies say, will have an extramarital affair. There's other studies that say at least one partner will have an affair in almost 80% of marriages. So, hey, this is something that needs to be confronted. And if those are the stats, then odds are you're probably at least thinking about having an affair. If you're a woman, then you spend a lot of time reading romance novels or watching chick flicks, which are romance novels put to film. And studies say if you're a man, you think about sex between every 4 to 10 seconds that you're awake. We don't know what you're doing when you're asleep. 4 to 10 seconds, ladies, they're thinking about sex. Guys, let me help you out. Women do not think about sex every 4 to 10 seconds. So often when you're thinking about it and you make a move and she appears to be not interested, it's just because she's not thinking about it. It's not necessarily rejection. But so look, this is a big deal in marriages according to statistics. And you know, there is a right time to have an affair. Yeah, I said it. There is a right time to have an affair. And yes, I am a Christian success coach. So I can hear you sucking in your breath in disbelief and going, what did she say? So as my favorite preacher says, let me sew you up before you walk away. If you're married and you're experiencing any of these kinds of symptoms, you work late, so you don't have to go home, and you even hate what you do at work, but you just don't want to go home. When you get home, you aren't greeted warmly, like somebody's really happy to see you at the end of a long day. And no, greeting with a scowl does not count getting greeted. You haven't had sex with your partner for 2 weeks. If you haven't had sex in 2 weeks, you're already in the danger zone. You really need to take some serious action. Especially, ladies, if they're thinking about sex every 10 seconds. 2 weeks is an eternity in a marriage. Or if you feel like you might be brothers and sisters instead of lovers. You know, just roommates. And you don't even like spending time together. You know, it's that brother or sister that hate each other and spend their days torturing each other. Not a good sign. Or you're bored with your spouse. It's always the same old, and you just yawn whenever you get near each other. These are bad signs for a marriage, and you need to do something about it, and you need to do something about it quickly. And an affair is my recommendation. It's just the ticket to get things, that badly needed passion flowing again, to get that connection in your life that makes life worth living. So, if you're going to take my advice and you're going to have an affair, then you're going to need to do some very specific things. They would be like, you know, get spruced up, get looking good, get smelling good, and then bombard your lover with romantic attention, with love notes, with texts. Make time in your schedule for dates, for trysts, for phone calls, for movies, for walks holding hands, for hotels. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually in a hotel room right now. You would have to, in order to have an affair, you'd have to dream about your lover when you're apart. Just thinking about the time you spend together and how they make you feel. You'd have to make time to steal away together to be alone, maybe in a hotel room with your lover. In order to have a really great affair, you'd want to send some love notes, make some phone calls, texts, and all of these things would be romantic, loving, sexy thoughts, all about your lover, all about how much you love them, how much you miss them when you're apart. You'd have to touch each other a lot. You'd have to stare dreamily into each other's eyes. Come on, you know how to do this. You know how to have an affair. And if you did all these things, this whole list of things that I gave you, you would have a fantastic affair. Now, your assignment is to do all of these things. Make time in your schedule. Get romantic. Have dates and trysts. And do all of it with your spouse. You heard me right. I believe affairs are for marriages, in the middle of marriages, and they're not for anywhere else. And do it now. This is important because a marriage dies without intimacy, without passion, without connection, without attention. That's why you must have an affair with your mate for the health of your marriage. It's so important. Now, just think about it for a minute. If you started doing these things with your mate, no matter how bad things are right now, would things get better? If you started giving them some loving, romantic attention, would things get better? I guarantee it would get better. You know, when things get rocky in a marriage, it's not because people are giving each other too much romantic attention. That's not why. And that's really all it takes to have an affair with anybody, right? So of course that's what it would take to have an affair with the one who loves you, who may not be acting like it right now for whatever reason, just because you're bored with each other, because other things have become more important, because you've hurt each other. Love is always going to be your answer. And romantic love just kind of sets the fires off. You know, so I am sitting here in this hotel room because my husband's been traveling for the last few months and he couldn't take it anymore, so he called me and he said, honey, you got to come see me. And he booked a hotel room with a jacuzzi tub in it so we could have a romance, so we could have an affair right where it belongs, in the middle of a passionate, connected marriage. So don't let your marriage die and put all your effort into someone who hasn't given you a lifelong commitment. That's just stupid, to take it to someone who hasn't committed to you. And let me be clear, I never, never want you to have an affair outside of your marriage. Affairs belong inside of your marriage. After all, who deserves that kind of loving attention but the one who's committed to you for life? Get to it. You've got an affair to do. Until next time, go show the one you love some love.